Or
it since the
will we,
last meeting too.
How did we arrive at the map in its state that's presented?
Well, again, looking at the entire city, we kind of started out with the base of what the county had. And then we decided to try to make Old Ranier, or Village Ranier, kind of a mixed-use area, similar to what it already was in terms of, you have a small area that has some commercial, residential, and things like that. Now, that map, you know, I said the way the colors and stuff are laid out are a little confusing. You know, essentially, what I've done here with this map, or looking at, like this one, is just converted to one zone where, you know, your standard permitted uses are your basic residential. Other things would be conditional use.
That's changed from the last meeting, right?
Well,
You had 3 different zones. within the
well,
state.
but those things would have been allowed anyway, but
But it's changed.
it was confusing, so yes,
Yeah.
that changed.
Can I just walk, I can't see where it is, so
I have one with an aerial photo, you can see the property.
So, let's see, is this the beach here? So all this would be,
Here, let me pull up the aerial.
Is it the footprint of the old Ranier or not?
Yeah, it's the,
so all this would be commercial.
So what it is already.
Well, for instance, I own this spot right here that used to be, I rent it out for trailer parking spots once in a while. So that would be commercial.
yes, you could develop a commercial use with a conditional use permit.
I'd have to get a permit, I mean, when it would just be zoned commercial?
Well, the way we're proposing is that it's a zone that allows commercial with a conditional use.
But that means you're at the mercy of somebody to give you the conditional use permit. It's not like you will get it.
No. If you can show that you meet some standards that are laid out in the ordinance about,
Again, I'm saying somebody, it's a subjective thing.
well, but I mean, then that's I mean, if you think that you've been treated unfairly in a violation of the ordinance that hasn't been applied fairly, I mean, yeah, that can become illegal. I know you want to have some money, but,
The city has the kind of money, and they've shown over the years, they'll spend a lot of money on attorneys and stuff.
the intent is to allow a fairly wide amount of residential and commercial development in this area. But the conditional use, the intent is to go through a little site planning process and everything, you know, so that it's compatible really with the surrounding.
Would this resort right here be conditional use or commercial?
Well, it would be allowed to continue. If you wanted to build a new store here,
You're saying as long as I keep trailers on there and rent it out the spaces, it's already grandfathered in?
Yes.
I had a building permit years ago to put a building there, I know it was able to consummate that deal, but, so if I want to put a commercial building up there, something I can do that, as long as I keep renting out the space for trailers.
well, if you wanted to put a new building, you'd have to get a permit.
No, but I mean, it's commercial property, but for all practical purposes.
It's for your renting trailers, that's the existing use. If you wanted to come in and
I
put in
did
a,
a garden there before, so I rent their lease space, good for that too.
well, if it's a conditional use, if it's an existing use, the zoning ordinance, I think I'm gonna have to plug in my computer here. If your property is being used for a specific purpose, when the ordinance is adopted, that becomes grandfathered. If you want to change that use to a different commercial use, you would have to get a conditional use permit.
I think that's a very good statement. If what it's currently being used for, if it's commercial, it stays commercial. If you want to change, then you have to get a conditional use permit, change the use of the property.
Do you have to have engineers come in and start looking at this? When they start building stuff?
Josh, is it, now the statement was, if it continues to be used for what it currently is at the time of these proposed ordinance being passed, it was being used for a liquor store, it would remain a liquor store.
Yes.
If you chose to change the use, then you have to apply
Yes.
for a conditional use permit to change?
Yes.
And
Now,
is that,
there's a policy question here for the council, too, is that, let's say I'm running a store that sells wooden crafts, okay? And then I sell the building, and the person comes in and they want to sell coffee out of that. You can say this is, I mean, as a policy, you can say, and they're just using the same building, they're making no changes, just one day you're selling wooden crafts, next day you're selling art. Yeah, you're selling art. You can say it's still a retail use, or if it's even if it's a coffee shop, you can say that's still a retail service use, and allow that to continue. Where it becomes an issue really is where if you want to put up a new building, or if you wanted to, start a car lot or something like that, where then you really start changing what's on the property, or the amount of traffic that goes to it, or stormwater runoff and stuff like that.
okay, I think I understand that.
And
Is that
so-
clear enough for everybody? Okay.
It just seems, this is an opinion here, but it seems like the council's getting in the business of micromanaging the little businesses in town. I mean, if everybody, when they go to do stuff, has got to come to the council. Effectively, have you got the council running businesses?
No, I don't think so. It eliminates that. So if you want to change from coffee to something, as long as it's retail business, that's what he's saying. But if you decide you want to put up a car dealership that used to be whatever, I think that is respect for your neighbors, respect for everybody else in town. Do we want to do that? And that's what the question of the conditional use permit would be. That'd be the question to the council. Is it compatible to the rest of the community? I mean, we don't want to discourage anything, but if it isn't good for the rest of the people too, it shouldn't be a burden on them.
Hi, Diane Finger. Perfect example of that was putting in some adult equipment over here at the park. And in the first meetings that we were discussing that here, I was one of the few people that showed up at the meeting and made the point that basically it looked as if they were setting it up for a possible injury liability suit, and who was going to cover the cost of that. A little bit of confusion on that. And not too long in the future, yes, indeed, there was a child hurt on one of the adult equipment pieces. Now, I don't know if any of you heard of that. But it did happen, and the people who live right across the street from that petition are not exactly thrilled with having that in their front yard, and who does want to watch someone's rear end swinging in the breeze.
So what's your point,
So
Diane?
my point is this, Ranier to me has always been a place that was established as a potential tourist attraction. The things that are appearing to be brought upon us feel like they're going to squelch that pretty heavily. The biggest issues to me are the things that have not been addressed here, that are causing great harm to the citizens of this area. And now there's this coming in. I can give an example too of what happens when you want to do something along the water. My dad just went through this because they're doing the same thing in the rest of the state, where there are certain mandated behaviors that have to be adhered to along the edge of the water. First they said,
Diane, if
"First, please let me
it
explain this.
changes to
Please
the
let me
water,
explain this."
I was going to say, if it changes to the water,
This helps them to understand. No. It does. When you're gonna get hit up for $375 right off the top when this little group comes to okay your project, then here, they're going to charge you $100. You're up to $500 already. And there may be more. You don't know, because see, now after you get that done, if you do it according to the plan and the plan works perfectly, then someone else is sent out. Now they charge you to come back out and inspect that. So now you're up another $175.
no, where did you come up with that idea?
I came up with that from my dad, who lives just down by, well, he lives on Horseshoe Chain Lane, so they're addressing these issues all the time down there.
That is actually, I mean, that is not how it would work here. I mean, that is,
We're gonna be different than the rest of the state?
well, they're charging, I mean, you're talking about a fee schedule, and a inspection
They want to do a
schedule.
project. I'm just talking about somebody that wants to do a project along the edge of the water.
Yes, and so the city will adopt
We don't have a choice.
and enforce the shoreland regulations that instead of having either the DNR or the county do it, you know, if you live in Becker County, rural Becker County, or wherever the chain of lakes are, you know, they may charge you $375 for an application, they may charge you, they may require a site visit by so-and-so, or they may do that. That's a local decision about how they administer the regulations. In the city here, if you are wanting to do a project along the shoreline, you would still make a zoning and building permit application to the city. You know, they would review those applications. Now, with the shoreline, because it is the state mandated laws, you're probably gonna have to do some more site planning work. You're gonna have to do, it might be more expensive to bring that plan to the city, but the actual city fees and stuff, I mean, that's gonna be run through the city, not through, you know, the DNR or another group. So, you know, the fee schedule is, you know, as we said, $150 or $100 or whatever.
That's it.
I don't remember what it is for a straight zoning permit.
Again, any more questions on the existing ordinances and the changes that may or may not occur?
I'd like to ask one question. You don't have now in there, probably below 113, but the number is 144. Is that industrialized area?
All right, so this is,
Excuse me, we're not to that part yet. We're trying to stick to the agenda. We will be getting to that, Susan, but it's right, well, as soon as we move off of this one. As soon as we move off this one, we're trying to keep everything so that the ordinances that we talk about, so we thoroughly and the best we can understand them, and then we'll move on to the next one.
I call that area instead of Riverside Park, I would call it industrial area.
Is there any more questions about the existing ordinances, the changes in them? Yes.
This is concerning. This is listed as an R1. This is actually a body of water. There's a 40-foot deep abandoned rock quarry. It goes out and drops straight 40 feet deep. There's a fence around it right now, but quite frankly, I don't think anybody lived there. Why is it residential one?
You could have a house for
it was zoned residential under the county ordinance, and
It's not
so,
mine, it belongs to.
so we decided just to keep a residential designation of it. Yeah, again, you know, I mentioned earlier that looking at this, you try to take the areas that you think are gonna set aside certain land uses and develop, you know, that's why we're recommending to make more areas on the highway commercial, because we foresee those in the future developing commercial. But every single parcel or property on here is gonna have its own development challenges, whether it's wetlands or whether it's an old pond, but that, it's gonna be zoned, and really, I have a printed plan that says anything is developable, is how much money is it gonna take to bring your wetlands up or to fill in a pond or whatever.
Okay, if there's no more questions on the changes to the existing Ranier ordinance number 64, then I'm going to move on to the existing, number 2, the existing 105, the manufactured homes, currently not in compliance with Minnesota statute, brought into compliance. There's a proposed ordinance on that. That's with mobile homes now. Can you run us by the proposed ordinance then? This is for number 2 now, the existing ordinances for manufactured homes that currently aren't in compliance with Minnesota statute.
Yeah.
Big short and sweet, Dave, is it, you know.
Yeah, this is very, in Minnesota, the state says that you cannot zone out manufactured homes. You can't, so if you have a single-family residential area, you can put a manufactured home. Now, it says about manufactured home parks, what we used to call mobile home parks. If you allow multifamily dwellings, if you allow apartments, you have to allow manufactured home parks. This just sets some standards for lot size and some other, kind of the way they're arranged and stuff. And it does it partially to control issues that might arise in mobile home parks, but also makes the standards more easy so that you don't have to have a 100-foot wide lot to put a mobile home on. You know, it only has to be 50. And so it makes it easier to develop a manufactured home park. It also kind of protects the cities from issues that have arisen in the past. And this is basically standard language from the League of Minnesota Cities. It's a page and a half in one part of the ordinance.
Just to clarify, does that allow people to put a mobile home in the city limits on a certain size lot? Is that what it says, or don't it say?
That if you want to develop a park, so more than 2 or 3. If you have a single-family lot, you can put it, as long as it meets current state standards for width and length and everything, you can put that on a lot instead of building a house. And that's required, and the state says that because in the past, cities have tried to zone out mobile homes completely.
Yeah, I know in certain subdivisions, they can have covenants and so on those subdivisions, the owner does, which would restrict them. And is that, but we don't have any in Ranier right now, so.
I mean, yeah, the owner of the manufactured home park could set covenants or standards that would be stricter than, you know, what kind of the standard language is. And that's really something the city doesn't have control over.
Yes, Bob.
Actually, your double-wide modular homes, they are built just as a regular home.
Yeah, I think that's probably why the state is allowing some, as long as they meet the state's specifications.
Now, are you talking about a single or a double?
I think it just says manufactured as a single wide or just a single.
Either or.
What are the requirements for a lot size for a mobile home?
Minimum width of 50 feet. Distance is 30 feet between individual homes. Setbacks are 10 feet from the front. So to do a mobile home park, that is. For a mobile home, it's whatever, on a single lot, it's the same.
Same setbacks as any other.
Is a mobile home park 5 acres minimum, no lot? Land?
Yes.
You need 5 acres to put a mobile home park.
Okay, that's a good point there, Jeff.
Not putting just one mobile home?
No, you just need, but you would need 2 existing lots as they exist in Ranier currently, 25-foot lots. You need 2 to put a mobile home on.
Yeah, 50 feet.
Okay.
That's a
meet the
mobile home
setback.
park. If you want,
Okay.
it,
How about if I want to put one in Ranier right now on one lot, 25-foot?
They do it now.
as long as you can meet the existing setbacks, 5 feet from the side.
Currently, in Ranier, you could, because there are no setbacks in Ranier, you could put a mobile home on, if you had a 20-foot mobile home, you could put it on, easily put it on a 25-foot lot. And because there are no current setback laws.
And after, with the proposed, what would it be for a, if I had a 25-foot lot, could I put a 20-foot wide mobile home on
No.
it? Okay, so that,
Yeah.
That's under proposed now.
Yeah.
If we pass them, that would be proposed.
Yeah,
so I would
You'd
need
have
2 lots if I wanted to do it in the future.
Under the proposed, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Or you could buy
Or
10
larger
feet from
ones.
someone.
Or skinnier mobile home.
Or skinnier.
They don't make me say gainer 20 feet.
Yeah, you know,
I
that,
couldn't put a double wide on it.
so what it is a mobile home in Ranier would be the exact same standards as a regular house.
Yeah, it's just the same standard as a regular house.
Okay.
But
Okay.
on a 25-foot lot, I mean, can't you get a mobile home that's 15 feet wide? So then you got your 5 feet on both sides.
I don't think you can.
I think they are required to be wider now, so I think there's a minimum of 20.
You may be
Also,
finding an old one or
There
something.
it is, in here.
Okay, with that one, I think you've pretty well got that one covered. Now, 3, 4, and 5, we're not going to talk about them because they're the existing ordinances for floodplain management, Wetlands Act, Adoption Act, Shoreline Management Act. If we don't adopt these, what happens is the state will come in, they will charge you for writing one, and it'll mirror it anyway, so you have no choice in that matter, so it's pretty much what it is. So now we can get to the other one now, and it's on the next page, what we're changing the annex parts of Ranier, and this is the comprehensive existing Cooch County ordinance. It's probably the largest one of the bunch, and as you can read, the commercial area along Highway 11, Susan, this is what we're getting to now. It's currently zoned R3, but there's a number, that's residential, but there are a number of commercial businesses in that area right now. And the proposed ordinance would rezone the Highway 11 corridor into the highway commercial zoning, expanding the commercial zoning. In other words, if someone wanted to put a building next to the Hoot's Nest, under the new ordinance, proposed ordinance, they would be allowed to. Right now, it's a combination of both. Don't mean you can't build a home there, but you also can build an additional business.
Excuse me,
Excuse me, go ahead.
is this map that was with the original packet accurate, or has it been changed and I missed something?
Now, Tara, and I don't have a copy of that either. The only thing that changed was